Hi everyone, and welcome back to fractions, decimals and percentages. Last time we were looking at how to multiply and divide fractions, and we were looking at some word problems. We didn't get time to do these, so we'll have a look at one more and then we'll move on to decimals. So we're looking at lesson 3 today and just revising a few things from last time. So in this question here it says Jane bought 6 oranges. While shopping, the bag of oranges fell from a great height and ruined 2/3 of them. How many could she still eat? So the first thing you want to figure out is how many oranges were ruined. Okay, and it says here that 2/3 of the 6 original were ruined. So that's 6 over 1. You can cancel if you want, or you could just do 2 times 6 is 12. 12 divided by 3 is equal to 4. So there were 4 oranges ruined. And so the amount that she could still eat, so therefore she could still eat, well, she could still eat however many were left over from 4 to make 6. On this question here, we don't have time to do it right now, but I'll talk you through it. It says a cake recipe needs 1 egg, 2½ cups of flour, and 1/4 cup of sugar. What fractions of eggs, flour, and sugar will you need to make 8 cakes? So in other words, you need to multiply everything by 8. So for egg, you'll need to do 1 times 8. For flour, you'll need to do 2½ times 8. You can change to improper if you need to. For sugar, you would need to do 1/4 times 8, and I'll let you finish that off. Now, today's lesson is about not dividing fractions, that's what we did last time, but decimals. Okay, so our goal today is to learn how to round decimals, to connect fractions, decimals, and percentages and do simple conversions, and to order these decimals. Okay. So first of all, what is a decimal and how are they related to fractions? I'm just going to let you discuss that for 2 minutes. Write some things down with the person next to you. So pause the video and then we'll come back. Fantastic. So I'm guessing that you wrote down something similar to your fraction definition. In other words, a decimal is a part of a whole. However, it could be greater than a whole. Because if I have 2.5, say, that is greater than a whole. How are they related to fractions? Well, most decimals can be written as fractions. Okay, in other words, 2.5, I could write that as 5 over 2. That's a fraction. Okay. So, in terms of what a decimal is a special fraction with a denominator with a power of 10. And this is where place value comes into it. So you might remember from primary school what place value means. Okay. So if we're on the left of the decimal, we have units, tens, and hundreds. Okay, with a plural S there. On the right of the decimal, we'll have tenths, hundredths, and thousandths, and then 10,000ths, etc. It keeps going on. Okay, so you can see here there's a little key. The value is increasing by 10 times left for each placement and right for each place movement. On the left of the decimal, we have whole numbers, and on the right we have decimal fractions. Okay, so you can see here, these are going up by powers of 10, 10 to the power of 1, 10 to the power of 2, next one will be 10 to the power of 3. But on the right, they're fractions, so 1 over 10 to the power of 1, 1 over 10 to the power of 2, 1 over 10 to the power of 3. In our course, we also need to know how to write decimals in what we call expanded form or expanded notation. This is where the number is displayed in a larger form than it is. Okay, so for example, if I have 704.538, I can write that like this: 7 times 100 to make 700. Plus 4 times 1, plus 5 times 1/10, plus 3 times 100, plus 8 times 1,000. Okay, and obviously that can be simplified to make these. Okay, you can also have a look at this that I'm circling here. And this shows you what has the same value. So I can write it as a decimal or I can write it as a fraction. And this is how they connect. So let's have a look at a few examples together. In this question, I'm asked to write an expanded notation. So in my first bit, my 47.508, I can write this like this. I can write it as 4 times 10 for the 40, plus 7 times 1 for the 7, plus then everything to the right in the green, that becomes multiplied by fractions out of 10, powers of 10. So 5 times 1/10 plus 0 times 1/100th plus 8 times 1/1000th. Okay, we must include that 0 there. That's really important. And then we can write these as powers. So you can see here, I can write this as 4 times 10 plus 7 times 1 plus 5 times 1/10. I don't need to write the 0 in this time. And then finally, I can write that with powers. So instead of this 3 zeros here on the bottom, I can write 10 cubed. Okay, so you need to know how to write things in expanded form. In example 2, it says, what is the place value of the 6 in 461? We're thinking back to up here. Okay, it's on the left, so it's going to be a whole with a S, not instead of a THS. So I've got my units and my tens, okay? And if you say the word, it helps you. So it's 460. Okay, so that tells me on the first one, it's 6 tens or 60. In the second one, it's 50.632. Now that's to the right of the point, so it's going to be 6 tenths, or 6 times 1/10. And in the third one, again, it's to the right. So I'm going to be thinking about how many places to the right it is. It's 3 places, so it's going to be over 1,000. Okay, so 6 thousandths or 6 on 1,000. In example 3, I'm looking at going backwards. Okay, so it's saying write 4 and 16 over 1,000 as a decimal. So in this one, I know it's 4.016 because I need 3 spots after that point. Okay, I need 3 spots after that point. All right, I'm going to give you a go to have a go at this matching game. So pause the video, have a go, and then see if you got it right. Okay, here is what you should have had. If you have any questions about this, ask someone near you, ask another teacher, or feel free to email me. Alright, example 5 asks us to write these as decimals. So again, we're just going backwards here. So if I'm looking at A, 4 over 100, well, I know that this is out of 100, so it's going to be 0.04. Because the first spot is tenths and the second spot is hundredths. Okay, for the next one, I'm going to get 0.34 because, again, I want it out of 100. For C, I'm going to get 0.08. That's not correct, though, is it? Because that would be 8 out of 100. So I'm going to get 0.08. Okay. Now, what about in D? I need 3 spots, so 0.028 to make the 3 spots for the 3 zeros. In E, I need 2 spots for the zeros, so I'm getting 0.06, okay, because that's going to give me the hundredths. What about if I get to something that has a hole? Well, if it has a hole, you simply write that hole, and then you write the decimal part after it, okay, and that's 3 tenths there. What about I, where I've got 3 and 15 over 1,000? Well, again, I've got a 3 as a whole, but I need 15 thousandths. So I'm going to put 0.15 because that's the 3 spots for the 3 zeros. Okay. For J, this means I have a 1 whole point and I have 4 zeros this time. So I need 0, oh, sorry about that. I need 0, then I need a 165 to make those 4 zeros when I rewrite them. Okay. You have a go at the ones we skipped. Alright, the next section we're looking at fractions and decimals on the number line. What's a number line? Well, there's one down here below, okay? It's a horizontal line, equally spaced, showing number values. And those numbers could be fractions, decimals, percentages. To plot fractions and decimals on the number line, we simply find where our whole numbers are and then estimate. We could also be more accurate by making even spacing. So in this question, marking the fractions a fifth, 2/3, and a half looks like this. Okay, this would be a half in the middle. So I know 1/5 would need to split 0 and 1 in 5 ways. I know if I've got 2/3, 1 would be 3/3, so I'm splitting them up into 3 bits. Okay, 1 1/2 is between 1 and 2. So in this example, you need to write the fractions marked by the dots. So you need to have a thing. If this is a half, then what's this? That would be half of a half, which is a quarter. And this would be a half plus a quarter, right? You fill in the rest. Okay, what about these ones down here? It gets a bit more tricky. That's 0 and that's 1. So maybe this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's not 0.1, 2, 4, 6, 8. It's not 2.6. So you'd have to figure out, what is it? Is it 0.1? You would have to figure that out. Okay, so you guys need to have a little think about that one. And then, again, I'll post the answers in the next video. And then you also have been asked here to write the dots as decimals. So in this one, you'd be writing that as 0.25, 0.5, 0.75. Okay? This would be 1 1/2 here, so that would be 3 on 2 and 1.5. So I'm going to get you to try the others. Alright, in this one you're asked to show these sets of fractions on number lines. So you need to go back and make lines. So have a go at that. Again, I'll post the solutions in the next video. Find a fraction and decimal between 6/7 and 3/4. Okay, this one's a little bit more tricky. The best way to do it is to think about the whole. Okay, so 6/7, well 7/7 would be 1, and 3/4, 4/4 would be 1. You could also figure out the decimals. So if I'm going how many 7's going to 6 and how many 4's going to 3, this is going to help me. I know that 0, 7's going to 6. Carry that 6, 7's into 60. Well, 7 8's are 56. Put the remainder down. 7 5's are 35. Put the remainder down. 7 7's are 49. Put the remainder down, etc. Okay, you keep going. And it's just to give us an idea of the size. So in this next one, we're looking at how many 4's going to 3, none. Well, how many 4's going to 30, 7 with 2 left over, and then 5. So you can see if you want a fraction between these two, you know this one over here on the right, so this one's smaller. So I could say I want 0.76, and I could say 76 over 100 is my fraction between them. Okay, so that's my decimal, that's my fraction answer. Alright, now we're going to talk about conversions. Okay, so to change a decimal to a fraction, we write the number without the point. We put 1 for the decimal point and a 0 for each decimal place in that number, and then we simplify. Okay, if it's a power of 10, it's easy because it just goes over 10, 100, 1,000, etc., and you simplify. To go the other way, a fraction into a decimal, you want to get it to something out of 10. So if it's an easy conversion like this, you just get it out of a power of 10 and then you can change it easily. But if it's harder, we're doing what we did above. We're doing the bus stop. This is called the bus stop symbol. Putting it in, doing the carry-ons. Okay. So we're going to have a try here of writing these in decimals as fractions in simplest form. So for example, in the first one, I could write that as 6/10, but that would become 3/5. Okay. Let's do M. This would be 1 out of 100. I can't simplify that anymore. In E, for example, I'd be doing 5 out of 1,000, and that can be simplified. You simplify it. Okay. As mixed numbers, so if I'm doing something like this, N, that would be 7 and 9 over 100. Okay. My time's about to run out, so please look at the next video for the next section. Thank you.